Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease tomorrow's divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I am your host, Edward L. Fairley, accompanied by my wonderful and lovely co-host, Michelle Larkin. Michelle, say hi to the people.
Hey, we're gonna have so much fun. I'm so excited.
All right, before we even start the show, today is one of the greatest dates there is. Today is my beautiful wife, Zanetta Fairley's birthday. So I definitely want to shout her out.
Go girl, go girl, go girl.
She is definitely, the reason why we have No Love Incorporated or No Love Podcast or the handbook
it's because of y'all story. Y'all story.
IQ, the game board, the app, all these things stem from the birth of this wonderful being and soul, my wife, Zanetta Fairley. So I definitely want to take the time out before I dive into the topic and acknowledge her presence and her being and her love and her friendship. I appreciate you. She's knocked out right now.
That means y'all had a lovely day.
Love you, beautiful. And let's go ahead and dive into this topic. This topic is a topic that I found to be very, very necessary. I have a lot of people who come to me and talk about how their spouse or their mate or their man or their woman does not support their goals and dreams or their passion or what have you. And the topic of discussion today is your mate's non-support or lack thereof may be because they love you. I'm going to say that again. Look at that face. Michelle. Your mate's non-support or lack thereof may be because they love you. Now, because I know this is such a touchy topic, I can't allow for those who are listening to assume that I am oblivious to all of the other reasons as to why a mate may not support you or have lack of support that has absolutely nothing to do with love. So because of that,
yes,
I am going to list those things so that you all don't think that this guy, he is just this love thing, he is just too far gone with his love where he can't see how this lack of support is just not, it has nothing to do with love. So let's go ahead and list several things. I clearly cannot address all of the reasons why that
frame it for us so we can help tell the difference.
But I do want it to be acknowledged that there are ways that are non-loving that have to do with a spouse, a mate not really supporting. So let's go ahead and dive into what those are. So again, you can receive the message of this actual show without having to think about how these are the actual reasons why you feel is your reason why you're not being supported. Okay, so let's start with number one. Matter of fact, I'm going to go with number one. And this is the one that people typically don't want to bring to the table. And they kind of push under the rug when they bring this particular situation to me, that I'm going to start with this. Matter of fact, the first two, if these are your truths, you can't even acknowledge the other ones that I list as your reason or rationale, or even use those as an excuse as to why they need to change their thought process behind supporting you. All right. So, number one, the first reason is actually, hold on, let me mute this.
Listening to yourself.
The first one is a question. The first one is a question. The question is for those who are like, well, there's more than just love as a reason. I'm aware of that, so we're gonna discuss what the other reasons are. The first one is hold on. The first one is a question. The question is, what is your track record? So what I mean by that is, before you go into how my man doesn't support me and my passions, or my woman does not support me in my goals and dreams, what is your track record? What number goal and dream is this? Is this goal and dream, or I'm about to change the world and the trajectory of our living for the 9th time? Is this your 5th multi-level marketing
I'm gonna hit this time now. I'm gonna hit this time.
Is this your 9th? Is this your 5th? Is this your 3rd? Which one is this? Before we start claiming or coming to me saying, hey, my husband or my wife is not as supportive as yours is. If I had your kind of support,
they might be just tired. They might be tired. They might be just tired.
So before you come to me and tell me how terrible your spouse is or your mate is, my first question is, what is your track record? Have you shown any kind of consistency or even progress when it comes to this particular goal or dream or this newfound passion, to where it's even enough for them to say, you know what, baby, I should support you. I'm going to jump in, I'm going to dive in, and I'm going to support you? Because their lack of support may very well be due to your track record. This might be the 8th, 9th, 10th venture that you brought to them, and you're like, I promise, this the one, baby. And they're like, I promise, that's the same face you gave me the last 7 times, the last 3 times, the last 4 times, and you won't stick with it. You will not provide me with the results, and you're asking me to stroke a check to assist in what it is that you're trying to do.
Or
and
sacrifice my life.
Or sacrifice my time, and you are not doing anything about it. So this is the first thing that I want to address, because we have a tendency to try to look at them as the person that's at fault. So I want to make sure that we're looking at ourselves first. So before you want to talk about how, woe is me, my man or my woman does not support me and doesn't look out for me, make sure that this isn't like your 19th business venture or 19th thing. Now I want to be a singer. Now I want to be a dancer. Now I want to be a violinist. Now I want to open up my own this and that. Like, where's your consistency? Because what they're using is the time that you've given them and the evidence that you've given them up until that point as far as what they're going to buy into. All right, so that's the first one that I wanted to acknowledge. Second one is, okay, Erica Dancer. What part of, shall I say, what position are you playing in this relationship? Do you share the same goals, and are we equally supportive? I'll dive into that actually a little more. Great question, Erica. I'm gonna go into this the second one. Second one is they're no longer a priority. So you
the person
that you're in a relationship with, they have been bumped down from a priority standpoint. Yeah. So now the dream has taken over the whole, like, who they are in regards to a priority. Now it's all about this business venture. It's all about this newfound passion. I'm going here. I'm doing this ministry. I'm doing all of this. And it's like, when it comes to them, they are pretty much not a priority anymore. And I'm gonna add to that too, like a B to that. Like, you have all of this energy and all of this focus and all of this drive that you're putting into this passion or this thing, but when it comes to them, you have no stamina. I'm tired. You've given all of your energy to this fraternity, to this sorority, to this ministry, to this business, to whatever it is that you're passionate about, and you wish they support you. But when it comes to, hey, can we have some time? Oh, the day I had. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, and they've seen you pour all of this energy and passion into these things, church, the people that you're ministering to, and you have absolutely no kind of energy and focus for them. That is another reason why they may very well not be supporting you. And it has nothing to do with love. It's them not feeling loved or like they're a priority in your life. So that's a valid reason. It's unfortunate, but it happens. We get so passionate about these newfound passions and things, and we give them all this energy, and some things are being put to the wayside. It should not be your partner or your mate. And even if it is, because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, when it comes to building an empire or a business or a company, there are times where you are gonna have to give it a lot of focus and attention, but that should be articulated before you do that. Hey, within this next
it's an agreement. It's an agreement that you both you sacrificed and you talked about it, you strategized it.
Yeah. So now it's like, yo, hey, babe, this is what I'm working on, and this is I'm just asking you to give me this amount of time, and you should see results or what have you. I remember there was different things like I'm grinding. I remember when I was in my fraternity, I'm still married. We're up and down the East Coast, winning trophies and winning money. And I'm putting in a lot of work to create, perform these step shows and things of that nature. I made sure she was a part of it. But at the same token, like, we went and we won because she saw the results of that practice. Like, and that was my thought process. Like, yo, I'm missing time with my wife and my children or whatever. We better win. We're going to put in the necessary work and focus so that we get the results of what it is that we're working for. So it was like, it wasn't, I'm not spending time and I'm not producing. It was, okay, this is a season where he's focused on this and there's been results behind it. So that's another reason. You want to chime in, or you just?
No, I agree with you. I see what your point is things when the dream takes away from the relationship, there are consequences, and they need to be made aware of, so that it can be addressed. And I know that that's part of what we're going to talk to.
And that's another thing too. Like, it's not even discussed often. It's just This is where my focus is, or what have you. Mm-hmm. It's not even shared that, hey, I know that I haven't been here. I know I haven't been doing this. I know like.
But it's driven sometimes by selfishness, because sometimes chasing the dream feels good, and it becomes a drive of very self-oriented. And then that's what you're saying, is when that person feels like it's more self-oriented than or like you said, I'm going to win, so I can leverage that to do something else. But when it becomes just because I want to do this, how is it going to bless the family? How is it going to help you in your long run? How am I going to shift? Like, you know how most people, like, I put you through medical school and now you're going to leave me. Like, because there was no us. It was, you sacrifice, I win. I don't know where I'm going to be when I'm in.
No, certain. So those are the two reasons that have nothing to do with love that I want to address. The first one is look at
logistics. That's just logistics. That ain't about love. That's logistics. The first one, let's go ahead and look at ourselves. Like, which number venture is this, sir or man, before we start to say how non-supportive my man or my woman is? Which number is this? Have they been supportive for the last 17 ventures, and now they're like, you know what? I don't believe in you. You're just going to have to show me. I don't believe in this. Now go back to work.
That's not your thing. So go back to work. So which one is this? That's one. Let's be real. So is this really your first one and you lack support, or is this your 53rd one and you're lacking support? Now you need to put up a mirror and say, yo, she or he has a valid reason as to why they don't really believe me this time, and work on proving them wrong, for lack of a better term. Second one is prioritizing them. Like, yo, nobody wants to be considered not a priority. This is your spouse. This is your mate. And if you're talking about bumping me down over some business or some violin or some singing career or whatever, then you're going to have some serious pushback. Nobody wants to be considered second to anyone. So that's the second one. Third, and this one it's a tough reality, but I have to put it out there. They're just not interested in what it is that you're interested in. They're not interested. Now, granted, you definitely want to, and I'll have a show about that. You want to at least be educated on what it is that your spouse or your mate is passionate about. But some things that's boring to them. They're not passionate about it. And you want them to mirror your passion. And they're like, okay, go ahead, babe. I wish you well. A prime example of that is this. You will never see my wife at a relationship seminar, reading a relationship self-help book, or even playing my board game. She played it maybe 3 times, if that. And it's just not her thing. And I'm really okay with that. Does she come and see me when I go and speak, or I'm a keynote speaker or anything like that? Most certainly she's supportive. But the between time, she's not going to be reading the chapter of the book that I'm writing. She's not going to read. Like, that's just not, if I ask her to do it, she will. But I know it's going to be like her watching paint dry. She's not into it. And I'm not mad or feel like my wife does not support me. Matter of fact, she supports me better than anyone by allowing for me not to be stressed about, oh man, my wife mad that I'm out here, or I'm on a phone with a client at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, or what have you. I'm doing all of this stuff, and she's just supportive, and she makes it happen and work for me. In times where I typically would be doing something that she knows how focused I am on that particular season, she steps in and fills in the gap. Don't get me to start it on my wife.
Support, though. That's support.
Creating
space is support.
Yeah, that's support. But unfortunately, because of our vision of what support is, if it does not align, some people don't even feel supported when they are being supported. So that's what I wanted to make sure was understood. My wife is very, very supportive, but you're not going to see my wife at every event. You're not going to see my wife support. Matter of fact, there's only one circulating picture of my wife wearing a no love shirt. Does she have multiple no love shirts? She sure does. Always in this box, snatching these daggone no love shirts, but she's not taking selfies saying, hey, get your no love shirt, they're on sale, or whatever. That's not my wife. That's not her thing. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
But she doesn't feel obligated to be your promoter, to be your supporter. Like, that's not, the word is not equal.
But she's not anyway.
No, like that's not her personality either. Like, it's just like.
That's not her position. That's not what she does. Now, granted, when she does wear the shirt, I've had multiple sales of shirts from her wearing her shirt around her friends. Hey, where'd you get that shirt? Hey, you got some shirts? Yes. And then she'll let me know. But that's not her thing. She's not going to be posting about no love or my book or the podcast or anything of that nature. So that's the third thing. They're just not interested. And that's really okay. You are interested. So get focused and do your thing. But that doesn't mean you're not supported. So, and it doesn't mean that they don't love you. So that's the third reason. Fourth reason, these are starting to sting because these are some realities. All right, you ready for this? Pride. They feel like if you're successful, they're no longer the breadwinner.
Or they'll lose their spot.
Or they lose, exactly. They lose the control or where they feel that they are. They're no longer winning or whatever. So now it's like, I want you to do good, but you're doing a little bit better than me. So I ain't really messing with that. Fred said, I think trust plays a big role also. Most certainly. I mean, all of this underlying information is trust issues. Especially when we're talking about right now. Actually, what the fifth one was going to be, which was aligned with this fear of no longer being needed. So now, if you are successful now because of my insecurities. Now we're back on the bottom of the actual triangle. Because of my insecurity or my lack of self-love, I'm worried that now you're about to leave me. You actually talked about it earlier. I put you through med school, and now you're gonna leave me. Like, yo, I actually supported you because I wanted to show you love, and after I got you there, you left. So it's definitely a valid statement. Trust is definitely an issue in all of these things. So the first one, Fred and Erica, because you said you agreed. The first one is, what is your track record? So if this is your 5th opportunity that you're telling that you're going to be successful, they're like, I don't trust you.
But you haven't done anything to build trust. Like, you weren't a successful. Yeah. So what am I building my trust on? Like, exactly.
So it's not that I don't trust you in general. Again, make sure that we're focused
this area.
The topic at hand. Yes. Don't add nothing to it. Don't subtract anything to it. We're talking about supporting you in your dream or your goal or what have you. So I bring this to you, say, hey, babe, this is what I'm looking at right now. This is the one. And you're like, yo, the last 7 was the one. That is lack of trust. And that's what they're responding to. The second one is they're not a priority. Like, I don't trust that you love me and you put me as a priority. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be one of the top things or first things in your life, yet you put this business or this thing in front of me. You haven't been to one of our children's games in a minute. You haven't been. You rescheduled our anniversary. You didn't even remember it was my birthday or what have you. Like, all of these things because you went to an event. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I know it's your birthday, but I gotta be at this thing. Or, oh, baby, I know that this is their graduation, but if I don't make this deal, like, no, nobody wants to feel secondary. That's a trust thing. Like, I don't trust that you would put our family first in the grand scheme of things when it comes to this particular business or passion or venture. So that's trust. Then we talked about them just not liking what it is that you feeling you're not supported because they don't support you the way that you want, being at all the events and cheering you on when they're not interested in the topic at hand. That is you not trusting that they love you, but they're not interested in what it is that you're passionate about. That's trust. All of that stuff is trust. Want to be the breadwinner. That's just trusting that I'm or lack of trust that I'm the man, or I have control over this actual relationship or this particular situation. That is a trust issue. That's a trust issue with yourself. That's a trust issue with a false truth that you've allowed yourself to think. I know a lot of people that way, like, yo, I don't want my wife making more money than me. I'm supposed to be the man. Like, how did you not become the man because your wife is successful? That doesn't even make logical sense. So now you're not pumping her up or promoting her doing well because you don't want her to do better. So y'all can't do better because you can't do better. Step your game up then. If it means that much to you, get another job, do something, but don't cut her short because you're scared that you're going to be you're no longer a man. That's ridiculous.
So how do you, all of those things are implying that you were talking about not feeling supported in the pursuit of a dream. So what about if the person got into a relationship with somebody who's already in the process of pursuing the dream, and now they want the person to change and redirect and now make them the priority, right? Like, so when you met them, they were already chasing the dream. Like, they was already trying to get in the NFL, right? And you knew practice was like 72 times a week. And now you get married and you're like, you can't go because you married. Like, but you married them. Like, but that's who they were. Like, you can't like abruptly stop their momentum because you just, that's who they were.
Excellent question. That's your fault. That's a you problem. That's not a them problem. You signed up for that and you decided that you wanted to change what it is that you signed up for. That is a you problem. And it's stuff that should be discussed before you take that leap. And again, that should be on your grocery list, which is foundational, that is the bottom of the triangle. If that is a foundational principle or moral or value or characteristic that you want in your mate, you should not be choosing a person to be in a relationship with that does not align with that. So if you went to someone who's pursuing a dream and this is the way that they've been, and now you're trying to jump in and slow them down or whatever, that's your fault. Now, I'm talking about someone that's they already have an established relationship. That's why I said if your mate, meaning that you're already at this point, because that's what no one's coming to me saying, hey, if I get a guy and he's starting to do well, whatever, it's my man or my woman is not supporting me and it's bothering me and it's stressful and things of that nature. So first, we talked about that. So now let's talk about, because we can go on and on. There's so many different ways to where love is not necessarily the root behind why it is that they are supporting or there's lack thereof. And now I want to talk about how it's very, very possible that their lack of support or their non-support is definitely coming from a loving place. And I'm going to start by sharing this. For one, I am an entrepreneur. I have my own company. It's called No Love Incorporated. And many, many years ago, one of my business mentors taught me that when I am purchasing, like when it comes to a design or a logo or anything revolving around business, and I'm hiring someone, to hire at least 2 to 4 people to do the same job. Now, that might sound crazy to a lot of people, okay? I'm spending a whole bunch of money to have 4 or 5 people doing the same thing, but what I learned in this process of doing this is, for example, I remember when the No Love board game was originally produced. And I had my rinky-dink handmade poster board of what No Love is. Now, I have absolutely zero talent when it comes to artistry and art or drawing or anything of that nature. So when I hired someone, and matter of fact, I remember my first marketing launch for the actual app. So when I hired someone, when I hired the 3 people, the first one came in. All right. And I'm like, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. This is the one. I know this is the one. This video, this graphic or whatever, this is awesome. This is the one I'm going with. I love it. I know this is going to be the one. And then the other 2 to 3 came in. And I'm like, had I not seen these other 3, this would have been awesome. But now I feel disrespected that I paid this much for this crap that I received right here. Now, the moral of this story is typically we look at things based off of our abilities. So things outside of our abilities can be very, very impressive. To where we think that we've grasped or taken hold of something very, very impressive, or even quality is the words used. And because we are basing it off of our abilities, we think it is amazing what it is that they produced. Oh my gosh, did you see her drawing? Oh my gosh, did you see that art that they came up? And the reason why he made me buy it from 3 to 4 people is because now it's making me see the spectrum of the actual thing that I'm buying it from. So I use that analogy or that anecdote to help you say that your spouse typically is looking at you from their vantage point and what their abilities are or lack thereof. And because they don't want to see you fail like they would, they don't want you to even try to pursue what it is that you're pursuing, because they love you so much that they do not want to see you fail based off of their vision. She can't do this. He can't do this. I don't want to see my woman fail. I've tried at things like this. I've tried business before and I failed. So they're projecting their ability or lack thereof on you. It has nothing to do with selfishness. It is the most selfless act that they possibly could do, because they're trying to preserve you from being hurt or not succeeding, so that they don't have to see you depressed, upset, hurt, or falling short of something that you really, really wanted to do. So because of that, they prefer not to support you in hopes that you leave it alone, so that they don't have to see their baby come short or perform in the manner in which they would, because they're projecting their abilities or lack thereof on you. So that is a very, very honest and valid yet unfortunate reason for someone to not support you, but it's not far from truth and far from the reality of what people are doing. People do it all the time. Matter of fact, if you ask any business venture person or someone that has created something, heck, my book, my board game, my app, my business, my company, me being a public speaker, all those things were things that so many people told me that I could not do, because they're looking out of the lens of their abilities. And I never took it personally or like it was something that they were being malice. They all came from a very caring and loving heart, but they were looking from their lens and what they were able to do and not to do. Go ahead, Michelle.
I think that what the challenge is can you hear that love and desire for you not to fail in the midst of someone expressing frustration, right? So it's typically like people who are feeling that way are more often than not pouring cold water on your dream. It's not that they're just quietly going, I'm not gonna say anything. That it's typically that they're pouring cold water on it because they're thinking of themselves, right? And you're right, people typically see other people through the filter of their own experience. So if I'm pouring cold water on it, I'm really pouring cold water on my own self. Yeah. Because I'm and you're saying, can you listen to the fact that they're pouring cold water and really hear behind the fear is the desire for you not to fail? And even though they can't articulate it the right way, it really may be that they're saying, don't do that because I'm afraid you're going to fail, because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And that's not coming from a negative place. That's coming from genuine, an experience of fear.
Yeah, most certainly. And like typically when it comes to these business ventures and things of that nature, it does cost their money too. So now you have to add the fact that they don't feel that you can do it because they can't do it. So now they feel like they're just throwing their money away, period. Like they feel like they're throwing their money away. I don't think you're capable to do this. And it's unfortunate that they don't believe in you, but unfortunately or typically, again, it's your track record up into that. You never showed any interest in this. You never shown that this is something
it's reasonable. It's reasonable for you. If you had a business partner, it would be reasonable to present your case to your business partner to justify an investment because you're both in it. And sometimes in a marriage or relationship, you don't give that other person the respect of being a partner and validating and giving them the same amount of information so that they can come on board. You just kind of say, I want to do this. You should love me. You should do this. You should see that it's important to me and follow me, versus let me frame for you why I feel this is important. Let me give you some of the research that I've done. Let's talk about this, because if I really believed it, I wouldn't be afraid to engage in conversation about it. If I'm a little fearful, I'm likely to say, I'm just going to go because I don't have enough information to combat your rebuttal. So I'm going to just go.
And I agree with you 100%, Lena. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Lena or Lena. That love can be unhealthy. I'm not disputing that at all. That's why I prefaced it with it's a valid thought process. I will never take away the validity of someone's feelings and their thought process. But right now we're talking about the motive and intent behind an action. I'm not saying that it's a valid response or reaction. I don't think it's good for you not to believe in anyone at all. But I also can say that I can understand that you don't believe in someone that has proven up to this point that they have not been good at business or haven't followed through with it. It's just like having a child. whereby I want to play soccer. You play soccer, then they quit. I want to be a violinist. You pay $300,000, $4,000 for the daggone violin, and they don't play it anymore. I want to do ballet. You pay for it, and they don't do it. Like, it's like the next thing you're like, no, I'm not spending all of my money on that. That doesn't mean I don't love you. That means your track record doesn't say that I should be investing. It says maybe you should go and do a lemonade stand or something and earn the money to show me that you really want this, or prove yourself, or give me some kind of consistency so that I can believe in you and I can jump on board.
Which is what I mean by do the work of getting your mate on board, not assuming that trust is free or the belief in your dream is just a given by virtue of the marriage license. Like, give them the benefit of the doubt of having come to the table with a set of experiences that may make them insecure or afraid, or they may have had their own situation where they failed. But give them the benefit of the doubt of hearing you out and getting involved in the reasoning behind getting involved in your dream. And you might learn something about each other in the process of talking through it. And you might uncover, they might not be interested, but they may know somebody that's interested and may connect you to, your next best, partner, but they may not be the ones.
Oh my goodness. I just realized I looked close in. This is Jolene. That's clearly Lena. Hey, Jolene. Good to see you. It's been years. As far as your child, like there's multiple ways to invest in something without money. So you brought up basketball. There's been times where like I don't have to pay for you to go to an AAU camp for me to invest in you learning and getting your skills and stuff up and things of that nature. But it's been many, many years. Good to see you. I hope your sister and your brothers are doing well. But yes, you're exactly right. That is definitely unhealthy. We're definitely not debating or disputing the fact that it's healthy or unhealthy. It's just a shift in perspective about it possibly being from a loving place. There's a lot of unhealthy forms of love that are being generated, which is the whole premise of this show, so that people can understand what healthy love is. But at the same token, if you can understand from their point of view that they have no malice or ill intent behind their reaction.
Assume good intent. Assume good intent until they tell you that it's bad intent.
Yeah, that can soften up your heart enough for a conversation to be had to where we can move to a better place in this whole process. So I definitely am not disregarding the statements of it being an unhealthy love, but I am expressing that it is definitely possibly love. And again, that's why I started with the beginning of how the other unhealthy intended reasons behind the actions are not uncommon. And I don't want to actually downplay those. I want it to be understood that I do see those things, but I also want to be the voice, for lack thereof, for the person that can't articulate that, hey, I'm not hating on my wife. I'm not hating on my husband. I really just don't want to see my baby fail. And it's very hard to support something where you don't see them being successful at it. Now, another thing that we have to do better at when it comes to this whole business thing and bringing it to us. Now, I've stated multiple times, you cannot communicate emotion with logic. Like, you have to either be both emotional at that time or you have to be both logical. And what happens is we get so excited about our passions and our business ventures, and we come and we're speaking from emotion. Babe, we're going to change the world. We're about to be rich and everything is going to be great. And they're like, okay, I hear you. Love your energy. How? Nah, it's just 6 to 8 months. They say, I pay $199 and I start this and we about to take over the world. And it's like, yo, okay, cool. Wait, you just said $199. Why you got to pay $199? Which was like, so now they got questions. Now you're getting frustrated because you can't answer the questions because you have no logic. You just been sold a dream that you're trying to sell them and you're trying to give them the injection that you got, and they didn't have the same presentation. And they're like, yo, whoa. See, that's what I'm talking about. You don't support nothing I do. Wait, where did that come from? I'm just asking you questions. What you're saying doesn't add up. You're saying I bring in this person, they gonna join the company. Then after they join the company, all we gotta do is tell 3 more people. Then they tell 3 people, and then we rich. We don't even have to do nothing no more. But if we keep going and we go wide, then we're gonna be successful. It's like, wait a minute. Hold on. You can't even effectively articulate the mission or the premise behind the actual business venture, and we're feeling like they're not getting any kind of support. Now, I'm not bashing with Erica State pyramid schemes, because you don't even want to have that kind of conversation with me. On the grand scheme of things, that is a very, very well orchestrated business, and you can do well in things. Matter of fact, I've done well in those things. I just have been called to something different where I can have my own and build it from the bottom up. But if you want to talk about a pyramid, if there's a actual president and you're at the bottom, basically you're in the pyramid. If you're in an actual business or
private business. Yeah.
So we're not going to do that. That's a whole nother conversation. Again, I can speak from intelligence and logically about certain things that people may be passionate about, but that is definitely not necessarily the case. I'm just using that as this is how we present stuff, and we're like, jump on board, we're going to be fine. And it's like, I can't jump on board with that. That's not even my personality. I don't want to go ask anybody to try these vitamins. I don't want to sell life insurance. I don't want to do whatever. That's not me. I've never seen you do that. When have you ever even talked about life insurance? Do we have life insurance? And it's like, where did this come from? So we get so emotional about stuff, and we can't even articulate the vision to where we can't even get them to buy in. So let's be mindful as to whether we are even educated enough before we get upset that someone's not supporting us. Can you even articulate what it is that you're trying to do, your mission, your passion? My wife, without a doubt, knows what my focus is, my business plan, my passion is, and I've been consistent for the last, I don't know, 10 years with this. Like, if you talk, like, it's a lot of people that are like, man, you're doing your thing, this board game, the app, and all stuff. I'm like, did you see the post that I did about this in 2013? So it's like, please don't think that you're going to just jump into this.
Nothing comes up overnight. Nothing.
Like, that's not how this works. And that's another thing I mean, which is actually a contributor to what you're having a problem with in the first place. You have started this and you give them all of this energy, and then things don't work out as quickly as you want them to. So you say that this doesn't work. You're the one that's quitting. You're the one that's not giving something the amount of focus and attention that you need for it to actually bloom or blossom into something. Yet you blame your spouse for not believing and trusting in you. So let's be mindful of where it's all coming from. Is it a place of love? And if it is a place of love, we have to get better at being able to communicate that, as opposed to, hey, I don't want to hurt their feelings by saying, hey, I don't think my wife or husband is good at this. But if that's a reality and you just need help believing in that, you need to have that awkward conversation, because you being silenced. All right, let me put it to you this way. And this is as real as I got to get you, just so I can bring you home. I see it, Michelle rolling her eyes, so she know I'm going to go. This is just how I do things, because some things, like, it has to, I got to hit home, and it got to feel uncomfortable for you to really, really get this. All right, so when you're not supportive and when you're not trying to help them see that it has nothing to do with, like, you not, your lack of support has nothing to do with you not loving them or caring about them, and you can't articulate that. I want you to be mindful of something. If I don't care, you do the research. People cheat with people that have the same passions and similarities and interests as them. It might not have anything to do with physicalities, anything of that nature. If you share the same interest and that person is in that person's face and they're the one that's jumping on the bandwagon about how passionate they are and things of that nature, and you can't even give a educated argument as to why you don't even like and support what it is that they're doing, you are putting yourself in a real bad predicament, and you're making them very, very vulnerable and susceptible to something that I don't agree with, but I can't deny that it's possible that it can happen, and that is cheating. I don't care where, like, if you pay attention to where people cheat at work, cheat at school, they cheat at church. These are places that they're spending time with each other. They're sharing the same passions and the same interests. And because of that, that causes them to be attracted to one another. And that it's something called sexual transmutation. When you get that passion and that interest in the same thing, it has to be released either through business or more than likely it's going to be released another way. I'll let you put it all together. But that's how important it is for you to get on board with at least being educated about what it is that they're passionate about and try your best to support them in any way that you can, or even find a way to do so. Go ahead, Michelle.
So it's quite reasonable to not be interested in a specific activity, but be truly inspired and energized by your mate's hope. Like there is something very attractive about hope and dreaming. Like you can fan that flame without really getting deep into what the project is. Like just being genuinely happy for that person because they found something that really turns their lights on and they just get giddy about it. Like even being willing to listen to it is like you said, minimizing their need to go outside and find somebody to at least be a cheerleader. Yeah. Like at the very least, you can be a cheerleader and hold them accountable. Like for me, I have some friends who have been in business and they just need somebody to, like my natural talent is managing, right? Or operations and administration. So sometimes they're just coming to have somebody hold them accountable. Like I don't have to do the work, but they can take heart in the support I'm giving from the talent that I have. So if your talent as your mate is not necessarily whatever the skill is, maybe you're good at helping them to stay on track with whatever their expectations are, or making sure the calendar and they get, so being supportive in some way does satisfy that need for a connection, because as your mate, you genuinely want to see them happy. And if this is really making them happy and you see them making progress, then anything you can link, any way you can link to that is helpful.
Most certainly. One of the things, like my wife is such the unorthodox support system, but this is what I love about her, and you know what I mean by this, but I'll elaborate. Like my wife, like I said, she's not interested in any of the things that I do, whether it be public speaking, relationships, or things of that nature. But because of that, she is my sounding board. So I bring stuff to her and say, hey, read this, what you think, or whatever. She has zero. She's just like me. My wife is going to be honest, and I absolutely love her because that's what allows for me to grow. And a lot of us, we want a cheerleader even when we suck. And my wife is going to say that is trash. That sucks. And you need to go back to whatever, or hey, you misspelled that or whatever. And I absolutely love her for that. She gets it. She has no emotion attached to it. She looks at him like, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, if you don't get it, then I didn't teach it right. And I need to go back to the drawing board, because the whole premise is I don't get a second chance for the reader or the listener to say, I don't get it. And then I have to revamp or go back and redo. I have to go to her first, say, hey, let me know what you think about this or whatever. And it's rare that it happens because I have editors and things of that nature. But when I really, really want a very, like, I'm not sure about this. I don't know if this is hitting, if it's making sense or whatever. Tell me what you think about that. She'd be like, it's all right. Or, hey, that was good. And I'm like, bet, if it got you, then I can go with it.
But that's supporting the person, even if you're not interested in the activity. And that's all I'm saying is, if you're in a relationship and you're in a mate, you have a mate, then then find a way to connect to your person.
Yeah.
And that even if you don't get what they're doing, like suppose you're married to like a aeronautics engineer and you are a school, like I don't know, you're a nurse, I don't know, but you're just like unrelated. But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you can't completely get excited when they get the gleam in their eye and find ways to connect, or do what you're saying, which is be perfectly honest. I love you so much. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Let me tell you
Exactly.
the truth.
Exactly. And
And please come back and ask me again because I'm gonna tell you the truth then too.
exactly. Like, get them involved. One thing about me, there's a lot of things that my wife likes that I don't like, but I make sure I'm educated about. There's nothing that my wife will ever be passionate about and love, and I do not.
That's respect,
take
though. That's
time to
coming
be
from
able to see it.
respect. You respect her. You respect the fact that she has a like or a dislike.
Yeah, and I definitely want to, for one, see things based off of her thought process or her point of view, and understand like what has your attention. Again, there's not going to be another man that is going to be talking about some stories or whatever better than I can talk about some stories, and I don't even watch TV. So, but the TV shows, and this is something that I'm intentional about with my children. I don't watch television. So there's television shows that my wife and my children like, that when those seasons come out, I set aside time with them and I watch those shows with them, because those are shows that they are passionate about and they love. And we sit and we have a conversation about each and every episode, and that is something that we bond about. And I might sit and talk about how stupid the show is and how is it, I don't understand it, how in the world they like it, and this is the reason why
But
I
you're
don't
talking
watch
about
TV
it.
in the first
But
place.
you're talking
So
about
we
it.
are having a conversation about it passionately, and I'm not talking from just a place of I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm talking from, no, rewind it. Look, she just did that. That's stupid. Or he did this. Or they're starting to throw these little subconscious and subliminal messages to you and feeding you these things that I'm pointing out. And they're like, wow, I didn't realize that. So these are even in for lack of a better term, disagreement or an argument passionately about the particular topic, we're still vibing and we're still building a relationship because we're talking about the same thing. So
support comes in many colors.
Yeah, don't don't miss out on the opportunity to grow with one another or being passionate about something, even if you don't like it. Be educated about it. Support them the best you can. So we gotta wrap this up, man. This has been a great topic, but it's definitely a topic that needed to be discussed, because I have people that come and they feel they're not being supported. I'm like, I have to ask you these questions, like, have you ever done a business thing before? And they're like, yeah, I've done this. I did the vitamins. I did the energy. I did the what's it called? And I'm like, so maybe it's not your wife. Maybe it's not your husband. Maybe it's your track record. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's stop blaming everybody. Let's look at ourselves first and then work our way out. Like I said, if this your first venture, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's because it's your first venture and you got to kind of show some consistency, and then maybe he or she will jump on board. So if you don't have anything else, Michelle, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You got anything you want to add before we conclude?
No, I think that there's an element of faith involved in support. And that's worth exploring as well. That what you believe about your mate is important, and it comes across in the way that you show support. And what you don't understand, you can always pray about, because it's important to preserve the integrity of the relationship. And if this person is passionate about something, then like you said, it's absolutely a sign of respect and investment to at least educate yourself about it, because you don't want to have a conversation just because I don't like the way you say it, or you're like, it's just be able to, it goes back to us, all the things we've been saying in all of these podcasts and conversations. Assume good intent, love yourself and know yourself, so that you can come to the conversation from a peaceful space and not a purely emotional space, and knowing that I'm not losing anything by believing in you. I'm not losing anything by having an honest conversation with you. I'm still here for you. I'm still in it to win it I just may need you to give me some more information so I can understand, or I may need to express how I feel about it so we can find a peaceful middle ground. But it's totally worth the effort to engage in honest conversation around anything that matters or it causes passion in a relationship. And so I just believe there's an element of faith that's part of this process.
Awesome. Yeah. When it comes to relationships, and love, period, that is faith, period. You have no control over what another person's actions, responses, or lack thereof are. So you just have to be faithful or hopeful that you've made the right choice and that you do have someone that loves you. And it won't be until you put in that and invest in that time that you find out whether you did. As far as the topic is concerned, there's multiple things. One, we've already discussed it. I'm not negating the fact that people have ill intent or malice or even selfish motives behind not supporting you. That is not what this show is to debunk or say at all by any means. I acknowledge that at the beginning of the show. But let's be honest with ourselves. What is your track record before you conclude that they just don't support you? What is your track record? Secondly, have you devalued them from a priority standpoint to where now they're not a priority and you expect them to be on board when you put them second? That no one wants to buy into that.
That may be another show, but there are people who believe that sacrifice is part of the relationship.
We've already discussed that. We said that needs to be articulated. It's a season. This is what I'm doing. I need you. But again, you need to be able to articulate and share that and say, hey, this is what I'm working on right now. I need your support in this. This is not going to be the way it's going to be always. This is my time span that I'm thinking, and I need you to help the best you can or what have you. With that, again, it should be seasonal. That should not be a consistent thing. Oh, baby,
and if it's going to be a long time, take a break, give your mate some attention, and go back to the grind.
Yeah.
Work them in some kind of way.
That should be communicated. That should already be established and understood between them. If it's pride, like you really need to work on your self-love. How much you make has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman or you have control over things. If you're in a relationship, it is both of y'all's income that is sustaining or supporting the household and setup anyway. Then we have the fear of no longer being needed. Again, that's a self-esteem issues. That's a you problem, not a them or your spouse problem. You need to work on that. Also, if you are on the end of you are really, really loving your spouse so much so that you don't want to see them fail, so this is why you don't really support, you need to work on having a more eloquent and effective means of communication when it comes to your vocabulary and your ability to communicate a thought, to share with them the genuine and sincere reason behind why it is that you have a hard time supporting them because of what you've seen or what you've done and you falling short, to where you're looking at them through the eyes of your abilities or lack thereof, and you're kind of projecting your views on them, so that they can have an opportunity to put you at ease throughout this process, or at least give you the necessary conversation needed in order for you two to collectively address each other's concerns and then move accordingly, and even possibly draw out something to where you can possibly even help them to be more successful because of your concerns and things that they might not see. If you are on the opposite end of the negative portion, you need to work on transitioning from a selfish and prideful place to a loving place. If you are that person that is genuinely in love with your mate, I can assure you the last thing you want to do with someone that you love is not support them and cause them to love someone else. So please get educated at the minimum about what it is that they're passionate about, so that you all can at least have conversations about it. You all can grow together, and you can even assist in them being successful, because you're not so attached emotionally about the actual topic or at hand, to where giving them the leverage that they need to see things that they wouldn't see because they're so into it and they're so deep into it to where you have an outside look and you could actually be contributing to their success. With that being said, I absolutely love the actual contributions to the conversation, the consistency in you all coming back to hear what it is that it has been put on my heart to say in order to heal us and ultimately the world. Until we meet again, I'm not sure what the topic is going to be, but I'm confident it will be one that is needed to be had. I love you all. Be safe. I will continue to pray and try to get filled so that I can continue to pour into you all. Y'all be safe. I love y'all until we next Thursday. Peace.